The following information is intended for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. The views expressed do not reflect those of this broadcaster. Should you choose to implement this information, please do so only with the assistance of a licensed medical professional. Neither the presenter nor this broadcaster assume any responsibility for any adverse effects or consequences that may result.
So one of these glasses has fluoride, chlorine, a bunch of other things you don't want, and it's actually acidic, which means it's negative to your health. The other one is free of all these toxins, and it's actually alkaline, and it is an antioxidant. And there is a way to turn this glass of water into this one.
All these things.
Billy Wease is a pharmacist, and he can tell you how. And he's about to give you a health awakening. Welcome to the Health Awakening. I'm your host, Scott Laird. All water is not created equal. Well, actually it is, but what we're doing to water these days kind of throws it off balance. And we need to bring that back into balance, and we need to have a trick up our sleeve in order to do that. And someone who can teach us that trick is the 21st century pharmacist, Billy Wease. Billy, welcome to the Health Awakening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, we are at your place today. We wanted to come here because you're the expert on water, and we wanted to show folks what Kangen water does. We've talked about your 5 pillars of your OptiU RX program before, and one of those pillars, well, we'll talk about that later at some point, but today we just want to get into water. One of those pillars is high quality water. Now, what makes Kangen water or ionized water better? We'll get into Kangen specifically in a second, but what makes ionized water better than what comes out of the tap?
Well, I think the first part of that, Scott, is that it helps reduce the toxic chemicals and things that we have in our water today.
Okay.
So when we ionize the water, it naturally takes part of those toxins out of the water.
Okay.
And it leaves us the good things that we want, like it's a higher mineral content in our water, which is very important today for overall health and wellness.
Okay, so this is better than a distilled that would just take out everything, including all minerals, and leave water that has absolutely nothing in it.
Yeah, distilled water certainly takes out the toxins and things that we talked about, but you mentioned the problem is that it takes the minerals out. So it's actually a very acidic water and can create some issues with our health, like bone loss and just more environment for cancer and other diseases. So we want to try to avoid that acidic condition.
Now, some people find that kind of surprising that water could actually help promote cancer. So they're thinking, oh wow, if I was told to drink distilled water when I had cancer, maybe that's the wrong thing to do. So it's an acid alkaline balance, isn't it? So with the water kind of needs minerals, isn't it? It's kind of a magnet for minerals, isn't that right?
Well, when you look in nature, naturally water would run through a stream, right? And it would run along rocks and things. So it would naturally have those minerals.
Okay.
So when we can mimic what God intended, I think we always get a better outcome. So yes, I think water should naturally have the minerals left in it.
Right, because it needs something. And if it doesn't have minerals in it, I'm sure you've heard this as well, that it will seek out minerals to sort of bring toward itself to achieve that natural state again that has something in it.
That's exactly right, Scott. What happens is when we drink acidic, it doesn't even have to be water, but acidic drinks in general, or we eat foods that we don't digest well, our bodies will become more acidic. And if we don't keep the blood pH slightly alkaline at 7.365 to 7.45, the body has no choice but then to seek out ways to alkalinize the body, the tissues, and the blood. And most commonly, the easiest way is to steal calcium monophosphate from our bones and our joints. So then we end up with bone disease and joint disease if we have this continuous state of high acidity.
One of the other pillars of your system, alkaline foods. So the more we can make the body happy with what it is already used to and where it's trying to keep itself at, which is that slight alkalinity, the better, because there's no fight then, right? It's that fight that causes disease. Is that correct?
It really does. And what it does is it causes our body, number one, to have to work more, right, to keep that alkalinity where it needs to be. But number two, we're depleting our natural minerals that we were given, right, and that we should have stored that are useful for other things like energy production, antioxidants. So we want to keep that mineral content. We want to preserve the minerals that we naturally have.
Okay, something we also were going to talk about in the next segment here is ORP. And we'll explain that in just a minute. But now specifically, so ionized water, people think, okay, well, ionized water, what is this? Where can I get it? Can people buy ionized water now just at the store?
Well, Scott, there really are some ionized waters on the shelves now, and they're becoming more and more popular. So you will find higher pH water that says it's ionized water, and it's often even rightfully so in a BPA-free bottle. So we're not getting the plastic. Some of the chemicals from some of the plastics, it can really be hormone disruptors. So yes, we can buy ionized water, but no, it is not even close to the same as what we can make out of a medical device.
Okay, so first of all, people say, well, what's ionized? What I see pH on a bottle. What pH am I looking for? 7 is in the middle, right? Because it's 0 to 14. So if we're looking slightly on the alkaline side, if people saw on a bottle, just to educate themselves, what's a good pH?
Well, the most common pH of water that we recommend is 9.5 pH. Now, anything above 7 can be beneficial, but the most common and what is most commonly used is 9.5 pH.
Okay.
Because we live in an acidic environment. Like you said, the world is not like it once was. We have a lot of other chemicals. We have a lot of other toxins. We have EMFs. We have a lot of things going on that can alter our natural ability. So I think 9.5 is probably the sweet spot.
All right, we're going to get into that in just a second. So we are talking with pharmacist, the 21st century pharmacist, Billy Wease, about Kangen water, alkalinity, and ORP. What's this all about? You'll find out next on The Health Awakening. And welcome back to The Health Awakening. Before the break, we were talking with our guest, Billy Wease, about Kangen water, which is ionized water, and ORP. So ORP, oxidation reduction potential. We know oxygen. We want oxygen. But why do we not want oxidation? Why do we want oxidation reduction?
Well, Scott, can we do a demo for people while we talk about that?
Okay.
So the reason we don't want oxidation, or we want to limit our oxidation, is this. Is that oxidation is something that creates damage or aging, or think of rusting. Think of a nail that's been in a deck outside for quite a while in the elements. It eventually will start to rust.
And that's oxidation.
And that is oxidation.
Okay.
That's exactly. So we can think of oxidation simply as rusting or aging or damage inside our bodies. So we want to limit our oxidation, and we want to protect ourselves from oxidation with antioxidants.
Okay.
So take the nail out, sand it down, put a new coating on it. That would be our antioxidant. So that is what can really go on in our bodies, and we can limit the signs of aging, and we can slow the signs of aging, and even in research, we can reverse the signs of aging by taking less oxidants in and getting plenty of antioxidants in the body to offset the oxidants that are there. So I'm going to get some tap water.
All right.
Real quick for our demo.
Now this gadget I'm holding in my hand, what is this?
This is an ORP meter, so it will measure the oxidation reduction potential of different liquids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in the Dasani here, and I'm going to stir it. And you're going to see a number come up on your display. Now, the numbers are going to fluctuate some, but remember, anything with a positive number, like we're at 850 or so, dropping, but that is an oxidant. So anything over 0 is actually damaging, rusting, causing problems in my body.
Okay.
Anything with a negative number is that protective coating. It's that antioxidant number.
Okay.
So this has obviously lots of oxidation potential in our body, or can damage us. Now, who would have thought that Dasani water could actually be oxidizing to our body? But the ORP meter doesn't lie, yes. So then we have Aquafina water, and we get the same kind of thing. Now again, it's gonna move, and it'll continue to move if we leave it there, but you can see we're around 700, we'll call it, with Aquafina. Now, I think one of the things that's really interesting here is Propel, because on the bottle, Propel tells us that it has electrolytes, And electrolytes would be part of what makes a product alkaline and antioxidant, right? But what we find is that we still have, we'll call it 300 probably if we left it. We'll get to 300 or so. So still oxidizing, not as bad as the Dasani and Aquafina. And then Gatorade, again, something that we think of as something that should be healthy. You can see the oxidation number climbing, so more oxidative than Propel, but maybe less oxidative than Dasani and Aquafina.
That to me is surprising.
That is surprising, and when we do the pH test, I think you will be even more surprised with Gatorade. Then we can go to Sprite, which may shock people, but we may see that go back down from the Gatorade. Typically we do. And so you can see it's holding pretty steady though at a 430. So again, anything above 0 is damaging. So we want things that are negative, below 0.
Right.
Then I'm going to do, this is just tap water from the tap here in Kings Mountain. And we're going to see that it's going to be pretty close to our Sprite number, 355 or so right there. And then I'm going to take, Scott, and make some fresh 9.5 Kangen water here.
Okay, so this is a 9.5 pH.
9.5 pH Kangen water. And we're going to see what happens. We put our handy dandy meter in there. So you see, Scott, we went immediately to a negative sign, right? We're negative 760 or so. So I want you to think about something. We had all these positives are oxidizing. We're still going down. We're at minus 776 or 778 there. Vitamin C, if we had fresh squeezed orange juice right here, and we put this meter in it, it would be around minus 50.
Wow.
Kangen water is minus 785. And we all think of vitamin C as the most important vitamin we would use if we were coming down with a cold or a flu or, sinus symptoms. But actually, I'll make the case that Kangen water is at least 10 times more powerful, if not more, of an antioxidant than vitamin C to fight off that bacteria, that virus, that parasite that's causing our problems. We're sitting at 792 right now.
That is amazing.
We're holding there. So it's really the most powerful antioxidant substance that I've ever seen or that we know of.
So oxidizing and antioxidant. So antioxidants, correct me if I'm wrong, antioxidants actually have extra electrons.
Correct.
To donate to a destructive oxidative molecule that is going around destroying things, which we would call a free radical.
A free radical. I think in today's terms we can describe it as a rogue cell. Somebody who's turned on us, right? Mm-hmm. And that can just be from time and from damage that we've done over time, from things that we've put in or lack of putting in the right nutrients or the right antioxidants. Okay. So that is exactly what antioxidants are. They're able to go and attach to those and minimize their damage or get rid of their damage completely.
So sort of a neutralizer.
Correct. It neutralizes the bad guys. Okay. Absolutely.
Can we look into the pH next?
Absolutely.
All right, well, we'll get to that in a second on The Health Awakening. Stay with us. And welcome back to The Health Awakening. Before the break, we were talking with our guest, Billy Wease, the 21st century pharmacist, about ORP, oxidation reduction potential. And that's where we got into the difference of buying alkalized water on the shelf versus getting it fresh out of the machine, because you're not going to get that same result on the shelf, are you?
Absolutely. Scott, when we test that water, it is always oxidizing, because that oxidation reduction potential of minus 787 or wherever we were will only last for a limited amount of time. 24 to 72 hours being under perfect conditions.
Okay, so now before we get into the alkalinity here, we have two sort of setups here. Folks are going to see you turn around and get something out of the tap there. Now you have a machine here at your house that's underneath the sink, and this is one we've put on the shelf here as well that also does the same thing. It's not hooked up, but that's what it looks like on the shelf. But it's the same machine, right?
It's the very same machine, Scott, other than just the one that we have is hidden and this would be sitting on the counter as you see it here.
Okay, all right. So what are we going to do here now with alkaline?
All right, so we're going to look at the pH. We've looked at the ORP of these different liquids. Now we're going to look at the pH of these liquids.
Okay.
We've already mentioned how important it is to keep our blood pH slightly alkaline. We need our tissues to be alkaline to be optimally healthy. So we're going to look at how this affects what's going on in our bodies, and how, as you know, as I put some pH drops in these different liquids, Dr. Otto Warburg back in the 1930s won Nobel Prize in Medicine for showing that disease, and specifically cancer, can't survive in an oxygen-rich, alkaline environment. And the beauty of Kangen water is it is actually able to provide more oxygen potential, 64.9% according to the research, increase in oxygen with fresh 9.5 Kangen water, and it's obviously alkaline, which we're going to get to, okay? And that doesn't even take into play the antioxidant potential that we talked about. So our Dasani, yes, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, so we have a white background here, so you see the color of the water.
Yep.
So what is the pale yellow telling us?
So that's going to tell us that that's probably about a 4.5 to a 5 pH.
Okay.
And remember, the blood needs to be 7.365 to 7.45. And then we're going to check our Aquafina. Going to be very similar. Again, probably 4.5 to 5.0 pH. Then I think these two are going to be the two that are really going to be interesting. Is that when we do our Propel and our Gatorade, and we may as well do this one too, we will get pHs very similar to around 2.5 to 3. And so these pHs are actually about 50,000 times more acidic than our blood should be.
Okay.
So we're going to show a demonstration using the Sprite when we're done here about how it takes 32 equal parts of Kangen water at 9.5 to offset however much 2.5 pH liquids we were to drink.
Wow. So
whether it's Propel, Gatorade, Sprite, or any soft drink, we use Sprite because it's clear. So now we have left our Kings Mountain tap water, which we're going to see more of a green tint.
Okay.
And that is because the government, and that should be about a 7.0.
Okay.
But the government mandates that they make this water neutral. 7.0 is considered neutral because they understand the damage that this can come. The problem is they get here with chemicals. So it's, even though it looks like it, we got chloride, we got bromide, we have fluoride, so we have a lot of things that we don't want to be putting in our body.
Now the Kangen machine takes those out in addition to ionizing. Is that
correct.
Right? Okay.
That's correct. So the Kangen machine actually has two hoses, and one is for the runoff, the things we're not going to drink, and the other one is for our drinking water.
Okay.
So yes, sir. Yep. And then we'll see the bright purple is our 9.5 pH. And so that allows our body to maintain the pH of the blood without stealing minerals from our bones and our joints. And it allows us to preserve those minerals in our bones and our joints. Hence, we can try to avoid arthritis, osteoporosis, those types of diseases.
So putting alkaline water in your body that also has the ORP, oxidation reduction potential, is like making a deposit in the bank of your bones instead of taking out a withdrawal.
Correct,
right?
correct. So I'm going to make some more 9.5 Kangen water here.
Okay.
And we're going to do a little demo with just a capful or two of Sprite to kind of show people how this actually can really determine the health of somebody's body. And this will demonstrate that 32 to 1 scenario that we talked about, I believe, very well.
So we're not talking about a bottle of Sprite, even like a small one that you have there. You're putting just a capful in.
We're going to put 1 or 2 capfuls in here. We're going to see what happens.
So this should be the purple.
This will be my purple Kangen 9.5 pH water.
See that?
All right. Now, we're going to remember this is 9.5, but this is 2.5. So this is going to demonstrate to you exactly what you said. It's a long way when you're talking about a logarithmic scale like the pH scale. So we're going to take 1 capful of our Sprite, and we're going to put it into our nice 9.5 water. We're going to help it stir around a little bit, and we don't see a ton of change right there, okay? But remember, we need to be 32-1. So let's see what happens when I take my next capful of Sprite. Now we see our purple disappearing, right? We see how it's fading.
So there goes
and it's not fading to these 4.5s and things. It's going to fade. If we were able to stir it and give it just a minute, it will fade all the way back to essentially 2.5 with 2 capfuls. And you can see we just have a little touch of alkalinity left at the top where it hadn't mixed yet. And this is turning yellow.
So sorry, go ahead.
So no, I was just going to say 2 capfuls took this, this quarter of a pitcher of water and turned it basically back to 2.5 pH.
So when we come back, we'll show folks how to get a machine from you and take advantage of some of this.
Okay,
all right,
awesome.
We'll be right back with Billy Wease from The Health Awakening. And welcome back to The Health Awakening. Thank you for joining me and Billy Wease today for our talk about Kangen machines and Kangen water and ORP and alkalinity and all that great stuff. Billy, we wanted to invite folks to, if they want to get one of these machines. Now, they're not cheap, so that's why they do a lot of things,
right.
But it's a great thing to have in the house. We actually have one at our place.
Yep.
And so if people want to get one, I think you're the best person to get it from because they can get a lot of information from you. So how can folks get in touch with you?
They can certainly call 855-OPTIU, that's 855-OPTIYOU, or they can info@optiurx.com. Send us an email.
Excellent. All right, and make sure you mention you saw it on The Health Awakening because we'd like to know that you saw Billy on the show. So again, Billy, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Scott.
And we'll see you again for another Health Awakening. Thank you for joining us today on The Health Awakening. You can catch the replay of this episode and see our complete show archive at healthawakening.tv. For more information about our guests today and all they have to offer, please visit their website on the bottom of your screen. And please remember, the information you saw today is intended for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice, nor do the views expressed reflect those of this broadcaster. Should you choose to implement this information, please do so only with the assistance of a licensed medical professional. Neither the presenter nor this broadcaster assume any responsibility for any adverse effects or consequences that may result.